Benny Pough, hi.
Hello.
We got it together. Got you to Cali on the only rainy day.
That says a lot.
Yes.
It definitely says a lot.
It says a lot.
But where else would I want to be?
Where else would
In
you
the
want to
rain.
be, right? And you definitely enjoy driving here with all our LA drivers, right?
Well, listen, I lived here for 7 years,
Mhm.
so I have a understanding on how bad driving is. So,
Wait, how bad driving is or
Yeah.
drivers? How
Yeah.
bad drivers are?
Both.
For real.
There's a little shade to LA drivers, but we'll take it because we are not known for being able to drive in the rain.
And everyone's comfortable
Yes.
knowing that.
No. Yeah. It's totally fine. So, I was going to start us off with 2 truths and a lie. That's my usual icebreaker game. So I'm going to ask you for your 2 truths and a lie.
2 truths and a lie. I think you need to stop that segment.
Okay.
Right? But anyway, no, I don't want to dictate, what you
Tell
guys do.
me.
Here,
Yeah,
right?
no, go ahead.
So my first truth is I'm truly in love with the fact of being alive.
Mm.
And my second is I love my family more than I love myself.
Wow.
And I thought about the lie because I don't lie. Then I have to, no one would ever believe that
Right.
I've never told a lie.
Yes.
So my lie would be, so I used to have on my driver's license, I'm 6'3". I'm really 6'2".
You just gave yourself an extra edge.
Why not?
Yeah,
Nobody
why not?
checks. When you think about you in the DMV.
It's true. No one
you do
comes
what
with
you
like
wanna
a
do.
yardstick
No.
and no.
You can
yeah.
be whoever you want to be.
Right,
within
whatever weight
reason.
you wanna be.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah,
Eye
yeah.
color,
Yeah,
anything.
yeah. So
All
that's
right.
my lie.
Okay, I like it. Thank you. Laura Cathcart Robbins. This is the only one in the room, but I'm never the only one in this room because, as usual, my boyfriend, producer, and co-host, Scott Slaughter, who I call Hun, is here as well.
Hey, honey.
Hey, honey. So today we are talking to Benny Pough. He is the founder of DVerse Media, and that's a D and then verse, right?
Mhm.
There's no vowel in between the D and the V. He is a music executive, entrepreneur, author, real estate proprietor, is that right? And manager. Decades of dedication and determination propelled him into the forefront of the music industry and made him one of today's most successful and innovative business leaders. With nearly 30 years of experience, Pough has helped shape the sound and culture of music worldwide, having been instrumental in delivering radio hits for superstars such as Jay-Z, Rihanna, Kanye West, Travis Scott, Future, DJ Khaled, 21 Savage. Should I go on, hun?
Go for it, girl.
I mean, it's,
do we need to say more?
I don't know. I
That's
think that's
insane.
it. Like, that's enough right
Mhm.
there. And there is more, but we're going to get into all that during the interview. Like I told you before we sat down, fascinating resume you have. What you've done for the last 30 years is incredible. The first question I ask people before we start is how they identify. How do you identify, Benny?
So that's a broad question.
I know.
So I identify as a Christian.
Yes.
So that would probably be my first recognition. Then a father,
Yeah.
husband,
Uh-huh.
friend,
Yeah.
leader.
Mm-hmm.
So those are my bundle of things that how I see myself.
That is great.
Yeah.
That's great. I love it. I have a quote of yours. Do you mind if I read it?
Come on.
Okay.
Don't ask me to say it in reverse though.
I
Go ahead.
We're done with the.
No, we're done with the gymnastics part of this. The quote is, I've been in a lot of circumstances where I was the only African American, having to realize that all it takes is to be the only one. I'm sure there are a lot of people who have gone through only one syndrome, which could not make you a better guest for our show, The Only One in the Room. You just articulated it so beautifully there. And the article's longer, but I just took that little piece of it. So having worked multiple jobs since you were 11 years old, right? Sold cutlery door to door, drove limos when you were older. I'm assuming you were older. You weren't 11 when you were driving limos.
You know what? I lied on my license, so you
Right.
really never know,
There's
but
another
yeah.
lie. That's right. But you always wanted to be an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
right? And on Sunday, you and I talked about like where you are. It's kind of like the Alps, that rare air, right? And you've been an EVP at Epic, senior VP at Def Jam, president of Rock Nation. So talk to me first before we get into your story, which is so juicy and I'm really excited about it. But talk to me about having those types of dreams and being a Black man rising through the ranks.
So it's it's an interesting journey I've had, and when I think about it, how I actually fell into the music business, and rewinding beyond that, at 11 years old, delivering newspapers actually came from a situation where I no longer wanted to travel down south every summer with and go visit my grandparents because they had a farm. It's not my grandparents; it's the work they made us do.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And being a city kid, it was just different being in rural America, and realizing that it is different. The chores, the necessity, the importance of how family has to work in unison. We take a lot for granted when family members, mom and dad, go out to work every day, and it's a different way of making income as opposed to when you have to till the fields, pick the peas, feed the hogs and the chickens.
It was a real farm, huh?
It's a different day, right? And but I wouldn't replace it for anything in the world. And what it did was lay the foundation for me for everything to come. And making the decision with my dad that I couldn't go because I had this paper route, that if I gave the paper route up, I no longer could make money. And that opened my eyes to the value, one, of conversation and negotiations, because obviously for them, it was a way for them to be able to make more money, not being responsible for me and my sister for 2 months. But also, the value of understanding how important it was for us to be a part of what was happening in South Carolina with my grandparents.
Well, and I just want to interject for a minute, because that beginning of your entrepreneurship, of your ambition, of negotiating, could be like the great American story, right? And you see it in sitcoms and in movies, and you read about it in books. But I think if you were a young white man or a young white kid with those same dreams and ambitions, your journey would have looked different, right, than it did as a young Black man?
Absolutely. There's, if you just, you just jarred my mind to think about, and I think life is, we can always look at it white and black, right? And that's easy. Economics is probably far more.
There's more of a disparity there. Yeah.
When you really get into it, because being in the rural South, the poor Blacks and poor whites, or poor Blacks and poor whites, right?
They're just poor.
They're just poor.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
They're both doing the same exact thing, and they're caught on race and not on being poor.
Right.
And I learned that early. But what I did realize is being in the South, things being different. And I'll never forget having a conversation, and all of this is in my book on Impact.
Right, we're going to talk about that too.
But I'm not going to give it all up because people won't buy it. But I'll never forget the time where being selling watermelons on the corner of Russell Street and Windsor in Orangeburg, South Carolina, and that was just a means for our family to make money. And as I got older, and I had no idea, the negative connotation with just, Black people and watermelons. And as I got older and I realized that moment in life and how people dealt, right, actually opened my mind to things like I would just never do again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's expected in breaking stereotypes. But what I also realized, and me and my cousins had debates about this, is they didn't see anything different, because if that's the means of making money, that's how you make money.
Right.
Because guess what? They're very confident in who they are. So perspective is different on how you see things. That's why you have to always have an open mind on how you approach things.
Yeah, and then in that way, poverty can be like this equalizer, right? So it takes like race out of the equation. All you're doing is getting money to put food on your family's table. I don't know that having money is the same equalizer. What do you think about that? Like, just fast forward to kind of the world that you live in now. Is it the same kind of equalizer? Is money just green, and that's the only color that matters?
So green in your hands, having opportunities on how to make it, the importance of it is different than having money and not knowing what to do with it.
Right.
You know, when you look, they have shows now. You know, what is it? I just hit lotto and bought this house or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that might not be the best thing to do.
Right.
So when you have money,
yeah,
you understand. So education also then becomes an equalizer.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And having a child that went to one of the top schools for athletes in the U.S., and it gave me a different perspective, even for athletes, is, you know what, these kids have been ushered through their lives from as early as 4 or 5 years old to perform at a level, right, for everyone else, but the benefit going to everyone else and potentially them not being able to satisfy a dream,
right,
but they've not had the day-to-day one-on-one experience of understanding the true life and value and skill sets that are needed in order for you to function
right
beyond that. So if you don't hit lotto and become a superstar athlete, you've been sheltered and catered to, that you no longer know how to, you don't know how to function at 21, 22,
right,
26, 28, 30 years old outside of people holding your hand.
Yep.
So education is really important.
Education, because you get that money and it's not the same. You have to know how it serves you and how you're serving it. Right?
Correct.
Yeah. All right. So now I'm going to take us to 2014.
Let's go.
All right. So it's 2 decades in the music industry at that point, right? And or around almost nearly 2 decades in the music industry. And your accident that I'm going to hear the story about now, caused you to reprioritize your life. And I want to hear about how you reprioritized your life afterward. But first, tell us about the accident. Tell us what happened.
So August 31st, 2014, I was in a near-death car accident. And how this actually happened was crazy. One day, a friend of mine called me and asked me if I wanted to come to his barbecue. And maybe at that point, I should have either gave a soft maybe or a hard no, but I said yes. And anyone who knows me, especially you now, traveling in the rain with your drivers, yes is yes, right? Because I thought about no, but I already said yes, coming here, right?
You made a commitment.
You commit.
Yes.
And as we grew up, that was more important than anything else because you had options not to say yes. So yes means yes.
Yeah.
So when he called me, well, I confirmed that we would be there. He called me another day and asked me if we were still coming. I'd said yes. That weekend, I traveled Saturday to South Carolina to visit my sister and her and my nephews and attend a football game.
So you were traveling from where the barbecue was. You were in the New York area? Oh, no.
So the barbecue was on Sunday.
Okay.
The confirmation happened on Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay. So you traveled to South Carolina.
Yes.
Yeah.
I traveled to South Carolina on Saturday. Saw my sister, my nephews. We celebrated my father's 70th birthday party. My mother has Alzheimer's, had spent some time with her. Left that Sunday, and there was a misty rain that day. The flight was late about an hour and a half. My friend had called me, asked me if we were still coming. I said yes. Now I'm running late. I had a meeting in New York City. Flew into the city an hour and a half late. Still had to take the meeting. Called my wife. Told her we're going to be an hour and a half late. Didn't want to take the convertible that day because something just didn't feel right with this misty rain.
Right.
So premonition, now knowing, right? So decided to take the truck, get home. My friend calls, asked if we were still coming. I said yes. We're almost there. We got there, and the reason why he was very persistent on the invitation was because he had catered the food for the two families. So we thought we were going to a barbecue and he did something very special and sweet for us, and we had no idea. So 4 adults, a couple bottle of wine, we're sitting having dialogue, enjoying ourselves. He and I, we step out and have a conversation. That misty rain happens again. We decide, like, it's a dark moment. Let's just take a ride. He bought a new Mercedes Benz. Had it for 3 days. We jump in the car. He pulls out, backs out, jumps out, go gets a cigar. The ladies and the kids, they come to the carport. He gets in the car, puts on a seatbelt. We drive down the driveway, which is the length of a city block. It's rural New Jersey.
Okay.
He opens up the gate. Once we get to the end, he makes a right. So I grab my phone, because I hadn't made any calls. We'd all been sitting there about to make a call, and I hear a thud, and the car just shoots off. So in my mind, I cut my eyes. I'm thinking, like, what's going on? The odometer's at 75 miles an hour. So now I turn my head all fully, and he's unconscious.
Oh.
With his foot on the accelerator.
He passed out.
He's out.
Wow.
So from where we started to the impact of the trees, a half a mile, with the car being driven with no one behind the wheel.
Right.
So I've done the first thing, which we kind of led into the question you asked me about myself being a Christian in my faith.
Yeah.
First thing I did is what I was always been taught by my mom, is speak to God. So I said, Lord, I guess I'm not going to see my family anymore, because I walked you through everybody in my immediate family I had seen prior to this moment.
Right.
And my wife and my daughter, they're standing in the yard. Second thing is, Lord, I guess I'm going to see you soon, because you get to the point you understand your mortality. I've been around, seen a lot. Just watch movies. This isn't going to end well. Right? Because I'm in this car, and it's now approaching 90 miles an hour, and there's no driver. And the third thing, I actually got mad with God. And I got mad with God, and I'm glad he didn't get mad with me, right? Is that I thought about who's going to pour knowledge into my son, who are going to marry my girls, who's going to be able to take care of my family at this point, who's going to deal with my mother because I deal with her health care, who's going to be there to help my wife clean this mess up, right? Because obviously I didn't plan to die today. So, things aren't everywhere where you want them to be.
Right.
And God, I guess if I'd known I was going to die, I wouldn't have shown up for the barbecue, right? Regardless of the commitment. So the car veers off, and I see this oak, and we're barreling now, and we hit the tree. So in that moment of the accident, that's when God put a book inside of me called On Impact, which is literally and figuratively, my life hitting the tree.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I sustained a level 2 concussion, L3, L4 vertebrae fracture, bulging disc in my back, lost half the blood in my body, lacerated liver, and we hit the tree so hard that it severed my intestines. So
the
seatbelt force.
The seatbelt.
Because think about it, the seatbelt is actually holding you back, but the force is moving you forward.
Right.
So you're now in a position of,
Wow.
Yeah.
So
It's
it was
like being
that
in a spaceship.
impactful.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Do you remember it?
I remember the moment of impact on the tree with the burst of light, right? And that was it.
Yeah.
That was it at that moment.
So when you're talking about having this conversation with God as you're flying off course, completely out of control. Did it feel slow motion to you?
Oh, it's actually,
yeah.
Death is in slow motion.
Okay.
If you're in those circumstances,
Well, that's what
where
I
you're
hear.
watching death.
Yeah.
When you're watching death happen,
Yeah.
it is in slow motion.
So it felt like you had all this time, even though things were
These are
whizzing
seconds,
by.
correct?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. And so there's this burst of light, and you wake up where? You come to where? Are you in the hospital?
No, I'm in the car.
Oh, you're still in the car when you come to?
Still in the car.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. So the next thing I hear is the crunching of the door coming off, but I'm in and out.
Yeah.
So
you're bleeding, right?
Internally.
Okay.
So there's pain.
Yeah.
Massive pain that's happening now, and I don't know where it's coming from or why it's happening.
And what about the driver?
He's okay.
He's okay.
He was okay then, yeah.
Okay. Do you know why he passed out?
Fell asleep.
Just fell asleep that quickly.
Fell asleep, yeah.
Well, you said there had been a couple bottles of wines, and so maybe, and he'd been up all day kind of waiting for you guys, right? So that's just, that's odd to fall asleep that quickly in a car.
But ideally, though, I look at, it's not really what happened and how we got there.
Mm-hmm.
It was that the lesson was for me.
Right.
So he was only the driver to change my life.
Literally.
Yeah. Because he walked out unscathed. So it doesn't matter how we got there in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
The moment was for me. It wasn't for him, because we were two passengers in the car at the same time, at the same speed, hitting the same tree.
Well, that is a really evolved way to look at it. I don't know that everybody would see it that way, but I understand, given how you've described your faith and what those moments were like for you, and knowing what I do know about what happened with you afterward. Mm-hmm. So how quickly were you brought to the hospital after that? Was there a while before the ambulance came?
So I don't want to give away too much in the book because I want people to read it. Right. But I will say this. So I came to for a second, and it's interesting that the things that happen, and I think competency and reading situations and circumstances. So I just told you I had a tree at 90 miles an hour, and people and the first responders, they're asking me, how do you want to go to the hospital because of that misty rain? We could put you in a helicopter, but it's going to be it's going to be choppy and it might hurt. Or we can put you in an ambulance that's here. So what do you want to do?
They were asking you?
Absolutely.
That's weird. Isn't that weird?
Oh, yeah.
So what did you choose?
I went with the ambulance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit longer ride, but hopefully not as.
And the helicopter wasn't there.
Oh, so you had to wait.
Would have to wait 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Correct.
No.
And at that point, after answering the question, the only thing I remember then is coming out of.
Yeah. So I'm sure your wife was so relieved once you were diagnosed and that you were going to get better. You were going to recover from these injuries. In your family, your whole family must have been. And to see someone else walk out of that car and see you not be able to, right? Must have been so scary for them. So tell me, pre-accident, what were your priorities? Give me 1, 2, and 3.
God, family, business.
God, family, business.
But I think it was probably more blended.
So not quite as separated.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not.
Yeah.
Hard.
Right.
More blended. Some days probably could be more business than God.
Yeah.
Some days could be more family than business. But it was
a little bit of a shuffle.
Shuffling.
Yeah.
Now it's hard.
Yeah.
God, family, business.
So why, after that accident, did it change for you that you placed God first, family second, and business third?
I had to be very clear and specific, realizing the value of time.
Okay.
Realize in an instant I almost lost my life.
Right.
So who I give my time to, how I give my time, who I choose to have my time is going to be really important to me. And realizing if I have things in order, then it's going to be the best life that I can get. Realizing the next time my life gets to the point where it may not be anymore, because we're all going to expire at some point.
Sure.
And ideally, when I get there, I want to make sure that I've done all that I can do to be the best me, most importantly, but I've given in order of priority the things that are most important to me.
Right, right. And so did your actions change?
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
tell me how they changed.
So, I'm definitely someone who's grew up in the church, spent a lot of time in the church, but straight away at some point brought me all the way back in my readings, sermon watching now. Like, I was a person, I used to hate televangelists. I find myself really enjoying it now.
Yeah.
Between T.D. Jakes and Joel Osteen and others, but it's a great way to receive the gospel.
Especially
family,
during the pandemic,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah. My family realizing, like, you know what, I don't need to take every trip. I don't need to be away as much. I don't need to not focus on things that are good today but may not matter tomorrow. And that my time here as a steward for my family and my children is what's most important, that they get the best out of me.
Yeah.
And while I still have the best of me to give to them.
Yeah.
And the business aspect, business is always going to be business. Putting in the work and realizing how focused I need to be with my time on the things in business that really matter to me, and make sure I do the best job in executing 100%, as opposed to maybe just 90% or 95%, or not commit to things that are going to take away from me giving my 100%.
Do you is this how? Because I know that On Impact was put in you, right? Upon impact. But is this kind of reprioritizing your business? Why and how you created DVerse Media? Is that part of that or no?
Yeah, it's part of the journey.
So tell me why it's different.
Well, at that point, before the accident, I was a corporate citizen. I was corporate all day. That's how I saw myself. Even with the entrepreneurial aspect, having the safety net of showing up every day, getting at every two, and grinding on the side, as people would say, is not maximizing.
Hustling. Yes.
I don't like that connotation, though.
No.
I don't think because people have passion, they have vision, they see themselves more, and they're willing to give their time to develop businesses, isn't hustling. Where we come from, or where I come from, hustling was never positive.
That's true.
It's not a positive term.
Right.
So
it was more of a con, actually.
All day.
If you were getting hustled, you were getting conned. Yeah.
No, I work hard.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And I multitask.
Yes.
And ideally, I don't want to waste my time. So if I choose to use my time wisely to benefit myself, we need to coin a phrase. We'll probably get to it by the end.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
But that commitment is what's really. I was committed.
I like grinding on the side.
Grinding's good.
Yeah.
We can say we're grinding.
I mean, in the music industry,
grinding
grind
is good. Thumbs up.
Yes.
Proof.
Okay.
Right. So I was a grinder.
Yes. So I'm just curious, because I love the story, and I didn't ask you to tell us about this, but of you showing up from your sales background and limo driving background into the world of music in like your wingtips and your suit, dressed like you were going into the corporate life like we see on TV, right? But that is not the music industry. Like, that's not how people dress there. That's not how people show up to work. And you were a young cat, right?
Right. Yes.
Yeah. How do you see DVerse Media as being different from showing up as someone? What did you call yourself? A corporate? You didn't say soldier. You said
citizen.
Citizen. Thank you. How is it different there?
Well, so when I started in the music business, what you're referring to is, and I fell into the music business. I was a stand-up comic.
Right.
So during college, I had 4 jobs, and comedy was one of them. And how the opportunity presented itself for me, the woman at Motown Records booked me for a show, and at the end of the show, asked me what my next step, my plans were, and I hadn't even prepared my resume, so I had none, to be quite honest with you. So she asked me if I wanted to be an intern, and where I'm from, no one ever talked about internships, so I had no idea what it was. But I was like, yeah, I want to be an intern.
Yeah. Whatever that is.
Let's just get in.
I want to do it.
I'm going to do that. I can do that. Like, as an intern, I can do that. So needless to say, prior to going into a music company, I was a salesperson. So, it's all about presentation, suits, wingtips. After I shake case, you got to look the part, to be the part, to talk the part, right, to get the results.
Yes.
So I showed up that way for the interview, and realizing music companies aren't stiff like that.
No, they're not buttoned
like,
up.
Are you the FBI? Like, who are you? Right? It was this guy. We've seen people like you before.
Right.
And what I realized then is probably what tech companies are now, right? The vibe, the energy, the flow of record companies at that time was very
really
open
similar.
and free thinking, and similar minded as tech companies are today. So I use at my company same kind of thinking. We're open minded, a lot of young opportunities for people. I think the youth is the future, as well as having seasoned professional wise folks
Thank
involved
you for that.
also. Of course, part of growth is understanding history. I mean, like, if not, you're going to create mistakes that have already been solved.
Right. And that happens a lot.
Of course, because and it's generational, but everyone thinks they're the first to do things.
Right.
And you can't tell them anything. So it's important to have an environment where people are able to share information, talk, and we can all grow together.
Yeah. No, I love it. Thank you for painting that picture of it for us. How was it writing your book? How was that? How was it authoring a book?
Should I be honest or just give the
please.
answer? I was joking.
Oh. No, because it's hard.
No, it's the worst.
Yeah, it's the worst.
Meaning the process is the worst.
Yeah.
Finally getting, let me say this. So I did stand up, so I understand the creative aspect of putting together presentation, presenting your art.
Yeah.
And anything in that space, in a creative space, you work at it and you become vulnerable.
Yep.
The process of doing a book, I think everyone takes lightly because everyone goes, oh, I'm going to do a book. Or people tell you, oh, you should do a book.
Yes.
Those things there's no requirement, right? And it's just like, no, just do it.
Yeah. So you were talking about how people say you should write a book and there's like no qualification for it, right?
Correct. And the process, I realized after getting involved, it's really an involved process. And for me, it wasn't so much the literal aspect of writing the book, it's being vulnerable. I grew up in a house, and as a black man, we're not emotional, we're not sharing, and that's the way you showed your strength. And you're quiet about things that pretty much can expose you.
Right.
So I had to overcome that aspect of being vulnerable and telling the world things about me that people may not know, probably don't know, except for the other person who knows that information about me.
The person like you shared that experience with.
Of course, that experience with. But now for it to be something that's going to live forever. So I think that was by far the most challenging aspect of it.
Right.
And realizing, you get into the perfection mode, which there's no such thing. But the value for me was realizing that the story and my life's reflection of what I want people to know and share and leave behind, getting that right. So it was a great experience from that aspect, but it's difficult.
It is difficult.
It's difficult.
How long did it take to write?
2.5 years.
Ooh, yeah.
I was working. I mean, I had a lot going on.
So what was your process? You would like write on the weekends or write it? Yeah. I mean, it is not something that people can just do.
No.
And well, that's not true. Anybody could do it, but to have something of value to offer as a result,
if
it's
you
hard.
if you want to be positive and affirmative, everybody can do anything they want,
Right. Right.
If you want to do it great, it's a process in doing that.
Yeah.
And there's a commitment, both from a giving standpoint of yourself, as well as an economic, piece that has to come. I edited the book 4 times.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think I have
4 times.
I think I have 22 different versions of the book.
Oh my God. Do you have them like stacked or they're on Google?
Have it.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like 22 different versions, because it's important,
Yeah,
it's
it
really,
is.
really important that everything feels right. Whether we sell 1 copy or we go on to be a bestseller, I still want the story to resonate in the form that's most impactful to the audience.
I heard this it's not a trick, what is it? Strategy from an author who said that whenever they got asked to speak after their book came out, they asked them not to pay them, but to buy books. Because if they sell those volumes of books, and then they could distribute them to libraries or wherever they wanted to. And that way, if you sell a certain number of books, I forgot how many, you get up on the bestseller list. So that was I thought that was really cool. So instead of getting paid, you could get them to buy your books when it comes out and end up.
No, they're going to pay me.
Okay.
Okay. They're going to pay me and buy my book. Like, we know,
We're gonna do both.
listen,
Yes.
everybody do your thing that works best for you. You're going to pay me. All right.
You're going to get paid. I love it. Okay, so I wanted to read an advance copy. I could not, but it is available for pre-order, right?
Correct. In January.
In January.
But you can go to my website.
Which is now, while you're listening to this.
Correct.
It is January, so it is available for pre-order now. But it'll be out in September of 2022.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Very exciting.
Yes.
On Impact.
On Impact.
Yeah. Your Instagram is pristine. I've never seen an Instagram like yours.
Are you serious?
It's so beautiful. Everything is like black, white, and gold,
Yep.
right? And it's like a piece of art.
It's particular. I'm very particular.
It is. But you do call for music in a couple of.
Yeah.
Tell me about what you're looking for and what you like for people to bring you musically.
So, in this space that I'm in as an independent, I can only have the capacity to do but so much. So I'm very particular, as you said, coming to my site about talent. I've been a part of some of the greatest artists in the world. I've promoted some of the greatest artists in the world, and I feel that what's next and best for me will show up at my door. Okay. So I want to make sure that my door is open. Is why
I love that you put that out there.
Yeah, put that out there. But I do have a young artist that I signed from Jackson, Mississippi. She will be the next greatest superstar on this planet. Her name is Paris Gatlin.
Okay.
And you can find her at We Want Paris. She's an amazing talent. Blend between maybe like Amy Winehouse and Meghan Trainor. And her chops and style. Yeah, so
that's a great combination.
I'm super excited about her. I've been working on her for the last year or so, and now we're ready to hit the marketplace. So
nice.
Let's go.
So you're looking just for music that hits you, that you want to work with. So you'll take a listen to a variety of things.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So
and what we also provide at my company is services. So although we may not be able to sign you directly to us, we can offer you a roadmap on how you can get yourself exposed in the marketplace.
Okay, that's what's up. I like that too. To find Benny Pough, you're going to go to Benny, BENNY, POUGH on Instagram, right? That's your name.
All my handles are at Benny Pough.
Okay.
On all social media, and my website is Benny, BENNY, POUGH.com.
That's right. I've been on that too. It's also pristine. It really is. It's very pleasing to the eye.
Thank you.
Anything that you want to talk about that we didn't cover?
Oh man. So
I know there's so much,
but
and
parting words, I guess, is how
yes, please.
Well, I'm very thankful for the opportunity to be able to speak to your audience. This is important. I've been doing podcasts now for the last year, maybe up to maybe like 60 podcasts and conversations, and I must say, like, this is first rate for all you people who can't be here.
Oh,
right.
Thank you.
This is an amazing setup, as well as it's warm. And you'll get the best out of people just because of the environment that you set. And this is tremendous. I think it's important for folks to live your life, follow your passion, and don't be afraid. Because fear is definitely something that will keep you from living the best life that you can. So just be strong, be faithful, and enjoy.
And from a man who is walking the walk, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you. That was beautiful.
Yeah, thank you, Benny.
All right. Hi, I'm Benny Pough. I'm the only one in the room whose near-death accident gave him a second lease on life.